Right, so now our narrator, Mr. Utterson. Let's have a little look if we had an exam question on him. So, just normal, I'm going to do the 4 key points I would say in response to an essay on Utterson, and I've colour-coded analysis so you can see where it hits the mark scheme. So, how does Stevenson present the character of Mr. Utterson? Utterson is a representation of the hypocrisy of society, and that is the key argument that I'm going to stick to throughout my essay. We, like Utterson, claims to be tolerant, he appears reliable, and he appears loyal. But the reality is we are judgmental, and our blind loyalty is stopping us from seeing the truth of our world, just like Utterson in his investigation of Hyde. So, 4 points I would make about Mr. Utterson. First of all, that he's a loyal friend who is keen to help. His affections, like ivy, with the growth of time. We also make the point that he is austere of himself, that means he puts limits on himself to conform to society, but then he envies those that are free, and I've got the quote, wondering almost with envy. Here we're beginning to look at the hypocrisy of our society. He judges Hyde straight away, for as soon as he sees him, he sees as something troglodytic, even though a moment ago we were just saying that he was tolerant and envious of those that were free. And this blind loyalty that we talked about in his first paragraph, this loyalty to his friend prevents him from seeing the truth and ultimately being able to save Jekyll. And the quote we've got for that is won't hold water. So paragraph 1, his affections like ivy with the growth of time. So we see Utterson values friendship and he's committed to his friends. The growth of time shows how he is careful with his friendships to ensure he's associated with who society deems as suitable people. So it shows the pressure of society and influencing his decisions, his life choices. And ivy keeps coming back no matter what you do. So this shows the strength of his loyalty to those people he then chooses to be friends with. I'd look particularly at the simile ivy. Ivy can grow in poor conditions, so society has created an unhealthy environment for these friendships, as he's only friends with those of the same intellect and class as him, yet he still allows his friendship to grow, again showing how society drives such fundamental decisions of our own, like our friendships. Ivy also covers things up. The same way that his friendships, his blind loyalty means he can't see the truth of Jekyll and Hyde. The reality is covered up to him because he's so convinced that Jekyll is a good guy, and so convinced he's being had by Hyde that he doesn't understand that they're the same person. Ivy is also a very simple, unexciting plant which reflects Utterson's austere, plain life and his outlook and approach to life. Then I look at this little nugget here. It's very easy, and lots of students will say Mr. Utterson is plain, boring and dull and he's limited, but he also admires those that are free. Although he's austere, he envies those that have got the ability that he doesn't to set himself free from the shackles of life. Although he conforms to society, and he claims to be tolerant and understandable of those that are not. This is probably reflective of Stevenson's own experience of life growing up in Edinburgh. He also conformed to society in his wealthy area of town, but he had a fascination of those that did not. Now the verb wondering here implies he's impressed by people like Hyde, which suggests a recognition that the power of society is so strong, yet it's commendable to be able to reject it. Now Utterson, remember that we said he reflects all of society, has been shaped by the society in which he lives in. So even if he wants to, he cannot follow the rules and meet society's expectations. He doesn't have the courage and the bravery to do it. But then he sees Hyde for the first time and he calls him something troglodytic. So he judges Hyde straight away, the same way society judges those that are not like us and don't behave the same way as us. So this reflects the hypocrisy of society, as he and society claim to be tolerant and understanding, but he judges him instantly as something inhuman. Troglodytic is a prehistoric man, so he describes Hyde as something unevolved. Now this reflects the Darwinistic argument that this impulsive evil of Hyde actually resides in us all. We have just learned to control it, like Utterson has made the conscious decision to be austere himself and control his inner Hyde. He is a victim of society's limits and order. However, we've also got this adjective something, which is a deliberately vague description because Hyde can't be described. Evil has no face as it resides in us all, and it even resides in Utterson, as we have already seen him being jealous of others and now we see him being judgmental. So Utterson considers his impulsive evil something not befitting human status. He is intolerant of him exactly the same way as Hyde is intolerant of society. So here we've got a very powerful quote outlining the dangers of our society, the dangers of just blindly conforming and then pretending we're mightier and holier than everybody else when actually we're not. Now we've got paragraph 4, and this is right at the very end of the novel, when he's on the other side of the door and Jekyll/Hyde are in there in the laboratory. Paul and Utterson need to go and set Jekyll/Hyde free. Paul says, I think there's Hyde in there, and Utterson dismisses it, saying, no, it's rubbish, that reason won't hold water. So he's so bound to his friend, he never even understands the truth, even at a very late stage. He's so tied to the expectations of society, the loyalty to his friends, and the rational thinking, which means he can never solve the mystery, and the sad part of that is that he's never able to help his friend. Now, it's quite significant this scene plays out by the door. Only now does Utterson open the door to Hyde and understand the reality of addiction and pain. In chapter 1 he was presented with the door to Hyde, but they chose to judge it, they chose to tell a story about it, and they chose to walk on from it. Only now do they knock down that door and understand who Hyde really is and why he is the way he is. Now look at the metaphor of water here. This connotes to cleanliness and purity, but the inability to have the water because it can't be held reflects how this friendship has been tarnished and damaged them both. Now this destructive association with the quote, because we can't hold water, it's going to destroy everything, reflects how this blind friendship has destroyed Jekyll. Now this is ironic that he was considered, or Utterson was considered relatable and reliable and a model of society's expectations, but in doing so he has contributed to the death of his friend, which really brings into question, is society as good as we are all led to believe?